All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. How art thou? Good morning, people. It is Saturday. It is cold, but we are here. What is that? Oh, do I really need to move that? Move. All right, there we go. What's good? What's good, people? Good morning. I've been up a while because I've been helping people all morning long. It is Saturday. We are silly. And we got some things to talk about. Hey, Lady Libra, good morning. Hey, Jonathan, what's good, Fi? Good morning, Fi. Good morning. Oh, y'all see that smoke? That's from my coffee. Gotta have some good coffee on a morning like today. It's like 40 degrees outside. Dear God. A little Miami boy like me, we don't like it when it's that cold. We don't deal well with that. Not with the cold. Anyway, how are you all this morning? Hey, Shakira. Let some of y'all gather. Shondo's in the chat to everyone. Hey, Yana. Child, it is cold, man. You say it's cold over in Kentucky? I can imagine. I can imagine. You know, when you're from Miami like I am, anything south of 70 degrees, you have on every piece of clothing you own. So you can imagine how uncomfortable a South Florida boy like me is with it being in the 40s. Dear God. Open these blinds to see if I can see, make sure hot dad don't pass by. You know, we be looking for hot dad. Anyway, so what's good with y'all this morning? What's up? I am up. Hopefully, you are having your good morning coffee. Who called me? Oh, Ty called me. What did he want? Did he call me to ask me if I was going live? Oh, dear God. Hmm.
What are you doing, bro?
I'm live.
What?
It's Saturday morning.
That's why I was calling you. Wow.
What do you mean? Wow.
I couldn't get no text. No.
Actually, I was in the I was in the middle
Thank
of
you.
I had a lot going on this morning. I've been up since very early. And so when I looked up and it was already after 10, I ran and got my coffee together. I've been up since like 8 o'clock.
Mm-mm-mm. All right, honey. Enjoy your life.
Oh, that's how you feel?
Is that how you feel?
You really where are you? Because you're not home.
I'm home.
No, you're not home.
Wherever I lay my hat is my home.
Call me when you get home.
All right.
All right. See what I got to deal with, y'all? See what I got to deal with? But you want to get mad with I can't. Good morning, Lady Millie. Hey, little baby. You say your people from Clearwater? That's Central Florida, around Orlando. Anyway, so I feel like it's a slow news morning. I feel that way. Feel like the news cycle this morning is really slow. So let me make sure and run through all my favorite spots to run through to make sure. So, um, yeah, I do want to discuss that. Okay. I want to discuss that too. So, there's a lot of things. Wow. So let's get to some serious topics first. One serious topic first that I want to do. Hey, Mr. Judy. Um, what after show? You talk about the after show for the gentlemen's panel that Jay Wilson had. I ain't have no beef. That was Captivating Christian and Chocolate Bay. I ain't got no beef. You see, I just sat there like y'all, like, oh, oh. Um, I stay out of people's business. That is not my business. Those two grown men. I don't get in between grown men, not unless they want a threesome. Anyway, listen, you gotta ask them. I don't know. So this story came out yesterday, and I saw it yesterday, and I wanted to address it this morning. I just remembered. So we got two serious topics there. We'll go from there. So, Shondo to you too, Yana. Um, Before you run into your notes, did you read the Megan article? What Megan article? Megan McCain? I don't usually feature her, so I don't usually go about reading stuff from her. Mm-hmm. I'm just being honest. Anyway, so um, the headline for this article says Texas State University. Oh, Megan Thee Stallion. I have not. I don't know. I don't even know what's going on with Megan Thee Stallion right now. Besides that, Tory, I don't know. I ain't read nothing up on Megan. I'll see if I can find it, but I haven't read it. It says Texas State University stops diversity training programs after Trump threatens to cut federal funding. It's coffee. I'm allergic to tea. I'm actually I'm actually allergic to tea. If I drink tea or if it even spills on my skin, it breaks me out. Tea leaves, anything involving tea leaves. So I avoid tea like the plague. I don't even eat anything with tea in it. Yeah. So it says the Texas Tribune reports that Texas State University announced it will freeze its diversity training program as it tries to make sense of the president's executive order. The order places a ban on training that is, quote, divisive and, quote, anti-American. The university's faculty and staff members were informed of the change in an October 5th email from President Denise Strauss. Quote, Texas State University receives federal dollars in various capacities, including to support pre-college students, college students via Pell Grants, and other faculty via scores of federal grants. We do not want to jeopardize the critical financial support that so many in our community rely upon. End quote. In a follow up email, Trouth wrote that students at the university received over $260 million in federal financial aid this year alone. Prior to the order, Texas State provided year-round diversity training to faculty, and that included conversations and microaggressions and unconscious bias. Other universities in Texas, such as University of Texas at Austin and Texas Tech, are reviewing the order to ensure they're in compliance, but they have not suspended their diversity training programs. On a national level, the University of Iowa has also suspended its diversity training as a result of the order. It says Trump's executive order signed on September 22nd requires federal contractors and agencies that receive federal grants to discontinue training that contains, quote, any form of race or sex stereotyping, end quote, and other, quote, divisive concepts, end quote, which could include discussions of the existence of white supremacy. Quote, the ideology is rooted in the pernicious and false belief that America is an irredeemably racist and sexist country. That some people, simply on account of their race or sex, or are oppressors, and that racial and sexual identities are more important than our common status as human beings and Americans. Wow. End quote. The order reads. The order doesn't go into effect until November 21st, a few weeks after the presidential election. The agencies that don't comply may risk losing federal funds, but the vague language of the order is making it hard for universities to determine what is and isn't allowed. That, my friends, good morning, everyone. Hey, really B. Um, that's alarming. And when I read that, and I've been real busy with work and everything, and I try to keep up on a lot of things, that was something that slipped through the radar. And I know really being myself, we may address it more in depth in Teacher Project 2.0. But when you're talking about colleges, universities, they receive a substantial amount of federal funding. You're talking about school districts, K through 12 school districts around the country that receive federal funds. And now putting executive orders in place and putting language in place that says that if you teach any type of diversity training, that you would lose those funds is going to, and the vagueness, like they said, the vagueness of the language. Let me read what it says again. This executive order signed by your president, claiming that they're going to remove any federal funding from these places, says this. Let me read the part that is giving individuals pause. Hey, Patty Duke. It says, this quote, this ideology is rooted in, first of all, it says that they have to discontinue training that contains, quote, any form of race or sex stereotyping, end quote, and other, quote, divisive concepts, end quote. Quote, the ideology is rooted in the pernicious and false belief that America is an irredeemably racist and sexist country, that some people, simply on account of their race or sex, are oppressors, and that racial and sexual identities are more important than our common status as human beings and Americans, end quote. That right there is dangerous. That's dangerous. That slipped under the radar. Put a 27 in the chat if you even knew this type of executive order had already been signed. And this is the stuff that we talk about. We talk about they keep up all of these antics and these dramatic things that the press seem to harp on, but it's like I say, they major on the minor and minor on the major, even in the press, where there is the attention to the buffoonery and the outlandish behaviors, but important things like this. Because if you listen to the last part, there's a clear focus to say you can't call white people oppressors or call them racist. There's a clear design there to say, oh, don't focus on your individual race. Oh no, we want to give no preferential treatment to race. We only want to talk about us as human beings, as a collective, and as a group of Americans. That's dangerous. Well, what happened was, little baby, I was aware that in some of the stop put to sensitivity training for some of the government agencies, but um I was aware of that. However, when we start to talk about now, you are strong arming institutions of learning and other employment agencies from teaching diversity training. What you're trying to do is you're trying to act as if it's not there. You're trying to force people into silence about white supremacy, about oppression, about the systemic racism in these yet to be United States of America. And conveniently, see, this is what happens. Conveniently, it isn't set to take effect until November 21st, some 3 weeks almost after, 2 to 3 weeks after the election, which means that if you lose, or if you, because you know he's not going to concede anytime near the aftermath of the election. But if you look to see that you are losing, there is about to be a reign of tyranny from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the likes of which we have not seen yet in the annals of time in these yet to be United States of America. Mark my word here. The reign, the sheer unbridled reign of tyranny that is about to ensue during that time period from, if worst case scenario, he loses, that time period from the end of the election all the way till inauguration is going to be next level. But understand what this means if this young man were to win again, and you got 4 years of this, you could have the full scale diminution of American society as we know it. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but you could already see things being put in place. You see Supreme Court justice, the Supreme Court has already been aligned to support him in his level brand of fuckery. All of his cabinet members are in tow. The heads of federal organizations are in line and in tow. And if left to his own devices and that administration left to do what they're doing, we will have the full scale diminution of the entirety of what we know to be the American government. That's what we're doing, Patty Duke. Now, let me say this. What that executive order does is, because it's vague for a reason, it gives those the heads of organizations that were already racist, already the type of individuals that were inclined to profile minorities and things like that. It gives them the ammunition that they need with which to say, oh, we ain't doing no more diversity training because we, and put it under the cloak of, we can't afford to lose federal funding. Oh, how many scholarships will be left? left on the table, and Pell Grants and stuff. Y'all heard what I read earlier when they started listing all of the stuff. What about the faculty members? And what about the students that receive? This is y'all excuse to try to be racist and try to ignore and act as if racism and homophobia aren't a thing in these and sexism aren't a thing in these yet to be United States of America. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. This is why you have to pay very close attention, because that's why I told y'all it's not just the president, but you also have to think locally, because think about the heads of your local entities whose job it is to interpret vague language like that. And when they interpret this vague language, what they generally try to do is they interpret it in a method and manner with which allows them or gives them cover for their racist and oppressive ideologies and legislations and all of and decision making and things like that. It's a mess. If y'all can't tell, it's a mess. It's a whole mess. And it's time for us to wake up. It's really time to wake up. Because think about it. How many of y'all have been on a job? I'm gonna give you an example all of us can understand. We all have had a job, right? Right. Discover Des. And you get your employee handbook, the guide by which, all employees are supposed to guide themselves and so forth and so on. There's little things in every employee handbook that is purposely vague. And what that purposely vague language allows is anybody who gets at the helm of that respective organization can take that one bit of language in your employee handbook, that one proviso, and say, oh, well, I could interpret this as saying that. And now they're making full scale changes to the way you work, to the way your organization operates, which could, set that organization and that entity or that whole place of work, of employment back 10, 15 years. And the first thing they do is they always started off by saying, according to the employee handbook, and they're going to give you the language word for word. And after they give you the language word for word from the employee handbook, then they're going to interpret it in a manner that favors them. A mess. A mess. But this is why we have to be focused. This is why we have to pay attention, because we got people paying attention to all kinds of other buffoonery. We got idiots and assholes like the Ice Cubes of the world telling people not to vote instead of informing people of reasons to vote, instead of informing people of where to go, where they can educate themselves, or telling people, please, before you go and vote, because I'm never going to tell you not to vote, but please go and start to do your research now so you know what to vote for and vote on. No, you don't do that. You tell people not to vote because you're a stupid idiot and asshole. And then you try to backpedal and pussy pop when people start to call you out on your bullshit. A mess. I guess you have no reason to vote when you already have things, you made yourself a nice chunk of change and you feel like, well, everything all right for me and mine. Damn how the rest of y'all feel. It's a mess. A complete and entire shitrous mess. A damn mess. It's a mess. So when you hear the Ice Cubes and the Snoop Dogs of the world say, oh, I've never voted before, it's so negligent. It's so dangerous to say something like that, because you give credence and you give to other people who haven't voted, and they say, well, Ice Cube said he never voted before. Snoop Dogg said he never voted before, so I don't feel bad. What? This is what we have going on. We gotta understand. This is the time period where we should focus on the major. Wait, we need to focus on the major things that are important to us. So yeah, I wanted to read that, and the article goes on and on and on. But it talks about, it just mentioned that one university, Texas State University, but they also mentioned the University of Iowa, and I would venture to tell you that there are other universities that are getting themselves ready. You notice that these are universities. I didn't say Texas Southern University. I said Texas State University, which is a predominantly white institution, or PWI. Hello. But you over there, but this is the same president who had the fake meetings with HBCU presidents. Just a fucking mess. It's a damn mess. Well, little baby, the thing about it is, and we've known this for some time now, a lot of these people um use voting as clickbait. It sounds cute. That's the fad or the wave, or that's the thing that they think is gonna give garner them the most eyes. That's the thing that they think is going to, that's the subject matter, or that is the thing that they think is going to garner them more favorability amongst a larger segment of the population. So what they do is they put out stuff that they just generally do not buy into or aren't inclined to really believe. They'll do it. These are the people who will do and say anything to make an extra money, give up their own integrity. Okay, let's be clear. Money makes a whole lot of people see when you get a certain group of people who did not grow up and did not come from money, and then is gifted with a lot of money in a short amount of time. Sometimes, in order so that because they knew where they came from, in order not to go back to that place, they will give up their own integrity and give up their own um beliefs so as to do anything they can to keep money. I'm just letting you know. It's a dangerous place out there, people. A dangerous place. Hey, Nicole Stevens, I didn't see you when you slid in. Anyway, but that's our first serious story of the day. Um, every now and again I gotta, what's so funny? All of my exes, they all tell me, they say that when I morph into like teacher mode and things like that, they always tell me, they say, I don't even recognize you. They say you like morph into this whole different person. They tell me I don't even sound the same. They were like, no, you don't even sound like the same person. Like, you don't even look, they say you just transform into this like different person. And they always say it's really sexy, but they were like, it's a totally different person that you morph into when you go into like teacher mode, or you go into that frame where you add the doctor to the front of my name and stuff like that. So yeah. I don't see it, but all of them collectively say it. Anyway, I don't like Ty. I don't like him, and I don't understand why you people are nice to him. Another story. Some people may say it's not as serious, but um, hold on. Anyway, I'm sorry, I was reading something. Um, so there is this movie coming out with what's the man name? Jamie Foxx. They're making the Mike Tyson movie. Um well, thank you, Yana. Whatever, Abby. Hey, Abby. Um so they're making a movie, a biopic for Mike Tyson. Hey, Shawana. And Robin Givens is very vocal about it. Um, so much so she's upset. She said, and one of the quotes that's coming from her is she felt like the world was crumbling again. Um, I I want to know your thoughts about that. I have my own thoughts that I will give you, but I'd like to know your thoughts on that. I mean, it would be like doing an Ike Turner biopic and not consulting Tina Turner. I mean, you're doing a biopic about Mike Tyson, but you don't consult major players in his life. Like Robin Givens is a major part of Mike Tyson's biopic or career because she gave light to, yeah, he was this great boxer and everybody, loved him at that time, but she's the one who started to shed light on, okay, this is a horribly disturbed individual who's committing violence against women. It's interesting that you say that, Yana. But think about it. But think about this, little baby. When What's Love Got to Do With It came out, Ike and Tina had been separated, what, more than a decade at that point? Like 15 years or something like that. And a lot of people were not aware, had no clue what was going on. And so I just think that, oh man, this is, you might say this is extreme, but I don't think it is. It's like doing a biopic on R. Kelly and saying, oh, I'm not going to talk to any of the victims because I need to allow him to tell his story. And they always been screaming that he's been, raping these victims, but we need to let him tell his story. Well, maybe not. Because sometimes some people, because of the horrible things that you have done in your life, no, we don't need your story to come out. And we don't need you to paint yourself in this rosy figure and individual that is to be heralded and lauded. And we know there is clear truth to the fact that you're committing crimes in the form of crimes against women. I I find this very interesting that I feel the way that I do, and I see a lot of you all, the women in the chat. You all are like, I'm not really here for her. I'm not really here for her story. This is surprising. I mean, if I were her, I would probably feel the same way. You got somebody who beat you, committed a crime. There are hospital documents and things like this. Yes, that's her story, but her story is a part of his story. They were married. That's a part of his story. And so when you are beating your wife and committing and let's just be clear. Let's pull the Mike Tyson rug from underneath you. Before the hangover, Mike Tyson was not a favorably looked upon individual. Mike Tyson, before, and I don't know, shout out to his publicist and his team of people behind him, but before the Hangover franchise, Mike Tyson wasn't a good or popular individual. There are dozens of stories of horrible things that Mike Tyson has done. Let's be very clear and honest. Horrible things. In addition to the horrible things he did to Robin Givens. Let's not act like Robin Givens is just one individual who's just out of her mind and who's just needs to get over it. Mike Tyson has sexually assaulted several women. Mike Tyson has committed violence on several individuals, men and women, not sexual, so to speak, but I'm talking about just violently assaulting people. We ain't talking about somebody who, oh, y'all need to leave him alone because he's really a good guy. And let's just be clear. Mike Tyson ain't even the type of person that was doing all of these wonderful things and helping out his community and being all philanthropic and all of that stuff during this time where you could try and hide it by that. No, he wasn't doing none of that. So I don't understand with the whole, well, we should let him tell his story. Well, maybe not. Maybe his story is not one that should be highlighted. Maybe his story should not be one that is painted over with rose-colored glasses at the behest of all of the victims of him and his violence. I'm very surprised at you all's reaction to this. This is very surprising to me. I can understand if he tells his story, even if it's truth is possible. I can understand the victims not wanting their stories relived. I don't listen. Everybody does not deserve a biopic. Every person's life does not need now. True enough, every person has had good and bad that they have done. Absolutely. Every great person has done some bad things. So I don't want to say that, oh, you have to have a perfect life to have a biopic. Absolutely not. But we're talking about Mike Tyson here. We talking about somebody who the general scope of their life and legacy is, oh, they were this great person who did all of these great things. This is Mike Tyson. Now, unless you telling me that this biopic is going to be real and true to who he is and who he was, okay, go ahead. But if it's not going to be real and true to what he is and what he did, and like I said, if you're truly trying to, this is how you know it's going to be a farce and a sham, because you haven't even reached out to the major players in this person's life to get their to get their side of the story, or to get the, okay, you want to talk with us, about this. I don't know. Maybe they did it and we're just not getting that information. I don't know. But mm, something smells rotten in the state of Denmark. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So I got your email, Mrs. Judy. Um, a lot of people like I until what's love got to do with it. A lot of people will change their minds and will be empathetic when people see what he did and his trickle down. But see, that's the question, Button Jessica. If you got major players, one of the initial people that let us know about this man and his violence, saying, wait a minute, y'all want to do this? Or wait a minute, hasn't even it, I should say, it appears now. I can't say with certainty, but it appears that they were not consulted in this. And it appears that perhaps nobody um asked them for their pure, unadulterated, unbridled opinion. Then I wonder if how the story is going to be told. But in Jessica, are they going to have this rosy story of Mike Tyson and neglect all of the violence that he committed? Like, I really want to know. All of the sexual assaults, like, or is it going to focus on his boxing career back in the 80s and then gloss over all of the sexual assaults and gloss over all of the drugs and gloss over all of the other physical violence that he committed against people, and then come back to the later part of his career after the bankruptcies and after the loss of hundreds of millions of dollars, and like the stuff since like The Hangover and stuff like that, where he got back into the public sphere as a likable individual. I think they're going to include the biting of the ear, but that's a part of it that's going to seem like that's easy for somebody to be like, you know what, that's just Mike being Mike. Maybe he was aggressive. We need to highlight the atrocities that were committed to women and to other individuals during the span of his life. I don't know. And it's easy for us to say because we're not Robin Givens. But I would venture to guess if somebody wanted to make a biopic of somebody that had committed violence toward you and someone who had done horrific things to you, you probably wouldn't be okay with it. Because if you're doing a biopic of Mike Tyson, guess who's going to get a lot of that money? You're using his name. You're using his face. You're telling his story. He about to get paid off this. And if you're somebody who has fell victim to this, and now you're talking about, okay, he's going to get paid for this, that, and the third. What's love got to do with it was actually a the story of Tina Turner. It wasn't an Ike Turner biopic. It was the story of Tina Turner, and Ike Turner was a part of it. This is the story of Mike Tyson, meaning he's going to get paid for this. So if I'm one of his victims and you telling me, oh, I know you don't believe that shit, y'all finna sit over here and celebrate this fool and give this fool money and try to make it like this fool is a reasonable part of society. I would be Robin Givens. I'm sorry. Call me what y'all want to call me, but I'm on Robin Givens' side with this one. I'll be right there with Robin Givens. Like, you don't believe that. Be like, we ain't doing that. We're not doing that. Mr. Judy just sent me an email. I haven't had the chance to look at it and unpack it of the article from or about Megan Thee Stallion about her her the act of violence that was committed on her from Tory Lanez and why she stands up for Black women. And I haven't had a chance to really look at it and read through it, so I don't want to yeah. Who wrote this? Because she ain't write it. I don't believe she wrote that. It says that she wrote it, but I guess it's an op-ed from her, from Megan Thee Stallion. Maybe she did write it, but it don't seem like she wrote it. But just saying. Anyway, it's an op-ed from Megan Thee Stallion. I might have a chance. I might take a moment to look at it. So of course it's gonna say her name, Mrs. Judy, and that she wrote it, but just like rappers have their name on the rap album and they have ghostwriters. Sure, I'm sure her publicist said, "Girl, go ahead and put your name on this, and we're gonna put this op-ed out there." You know how many people I've written stuff for? You know how many people I'm a ghostwriter for? Go ahead, you got this. I get paid handsomely for it. It is what it is, child. I mean, because she starts at the end mentioning people like one of my favorite people in the world, Carol Mosley Braun and stuff like that, and all of it, child. Yeah. I mean, I'll put the link in the chat. Oh, okay, sorry. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very surprised, y'all, at some of y'all's reaction to the Robin Givens thing. Like, y'all are not here for her. I'm very surprised by that because I thought it would be the other way, but y'all are not here for her. I'm here for her. There's the her op-ed. It's in the New York Times. I'll give it a read. So now that I have covered, let me make sure I've covered all my topics that are serious in nature. Yeah, I think that's oh, one more serious topic. Shots out to Martin Jenkins, who has been selected by Governor Gavin Newsom of California. He has been selected for or nominated for the California State Supreme Court. Of course, he has to go through the whole process of going before their legislation and being, voted on and stuff like that by the legislature. But he is openly gay. He is black. He's an openly gay man. He's black. He's a former NFL player, but he is black. He is openly gay, and he will be the first ever Supreme Court justice of any state that is both black and openly gay. And he is to be celebrated. I wanted to mention that his name is Martin Jenkins. Um, Shouts out to him. I wanted to highlight that also. Yeah, we like to speak names around here. Once again, his name is Martin Jenkins. So yeah, that's a really big thing. So now that I've gotten my serious topics out of the way, now we must put on a different hat and delve into less serious or less important things. Mm. Make sure, if you've already started, make sure you get your early voting out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you do everything that you need to do for that. Get it in and get it done. God no, Mr. Judy. God no. Well, at least not yet. If I discuss that, that's gonna be on the tail end of this of this live. Can we start off talking about what's the man's name? Darius McCrary, Eddie Winslow. So apparently, he's got a thing for Sydney Star. Apparently. That young man said on his Instagram, he put a picture of Sydney Star up and said, the undeniable Sydney Star. He put her Instagram moniker. What's understood don't need to be explained. XOXOXO. Hashtag Sydney Star. Fire. Well, let me show y'all what he put so y'all can see it. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Come on. I swear my computer be doing a lot. All right. Where am I? What am I doing? This happened earlier this week. I'm with you, little baby. He could take her right on off our hands because I do not like no parts of Sydney Star. She makes me itch in places that should not itch. So there it is. I'm guessing. Let me mute this. I'm guessing this is some kind of video of hers or something. But oh dear God. I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to do copyright, and I don't want to hear nothing she got going on. Anyway, here's what he said right here. If you want to read it, I read it for you. Child, she gets on my nerves. Like, it's just, oh God. Like, her whole attitude and everything. I just remember her on, and let me close that. But I just remember her on Love and Hip Hop. And Sydney Starr, who was on Love and Hip Hop, she's a trans woman. Anyway, if you, she might be most remembered for the one who alleged that Chingy was, that she had had sex with Chingy some years ago. That's when she first kind of came into fame, when she alleged to have had sex with Chingy. She gets on my last nerve, my last good nerve. Like I can't really stomach her, but apparently Eddie Winslow, Darius McCraney, um, can stomach her. I just don't have it to do with her. I just don't. I don't have it to do with her. So let me get to better news. In better news, um, so can we talk about? I feel like I'm about to do like Alexander Rogers say and start going. We going to talk about the unit. Yeah. So because it's election season, right? Start there. It is election season. And people are trying to get you to get out and vote. In years past, we've had vote or die campaigns, get out the vote campaigns. In 2020, we certainly are doing this in more interesting ways because this is a more interesting year. A couple weeks ago, they had this election thing where they were trying to get people to go to the polls, and they did the double entendre where trying to get people to the polls. They had stripper polls, and they had strippers with, that were scantily clad and in various stages of nudity, trying to get you to go out to the polls by using polls. And there was that whole thing. And now we have male celebrities. Because that was, the strippers were for the men and some women who'd like to see that type of stuff. But now we have celebrity men that are thirst trapping in order to get you to vote. Earlier this week, your guy and mine, Michael B. Jordan, gifted us with this. Hold on. Let me put it up. gifted us with this and said, vote early. Now, I was here for this, here for all parts of this. This I can get with. I am encouraged to vote early. However, when we're talking about the facts of life, unfortunately, you have to take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and then you got the facts of life. And while I had a wonderful Tuesday morning looking at Michael B. Jordan, who told us to vote. Then Thursday evening, I was accosted by someone who we didn't ask for, in line with things we did not ask for. Ladies and gentlemen, because I was accosted by this, you should be too. So then we got this. We got the Todrick Halls of the world doing this, talking about, do I have your attention? Vote. We didn't ask you for this. We did not ask you for this. Now, can I draw your attention to this over here in this bottom right corner? This gives me a Belize. Where's Belize when I need her? Y'all see what this petty person put? He's so petty. The things I noticed. And they talk about all the bumps underneath his chin. They're so petty. I was not well with that. I was not well with that. I was not well with that. I did not ask for that. I wasn't seeking that. I wanted no parts of that. I am not well with that. But that's what y'all got floating across Al Gore's good internet. It's taken me a moment to get my life in order. That is what I was accosted with. It is not well with my soul, E. Starkey. Like, my eyes can't unsee that. You could be here for Todrick Hall all you want, Ty. He's not here for you, dear one. You got way too much melanin for him to be here for you. Sorry, boo. In other news of people who gets on my damn nerves, and I don't know why we keep giving this lady ways and platforms to just do things like this. So apparently J-Lo is saying she's black now. In one of her latest songs, J-Lo says, and I quote, "I'll always be your black girl from the Bronx." I'm going to let that sit there for a moment. Mm, these peanuts are actually quite tasty as I let you all ponder on that. Let me say that again for y'all, because it took me that long to get my life in order. Hey, Raphael. Hey, Lastasia. Hey, Quintessential. Right, y'all. That ain't Nappy Child. Let me read this again for y'all. J Lo, in one of her songs, she collaborated apparently on some song called quote Lonely. Now, there are Puerto Rican people that are upset with her for trying to make people believe she's Puerto Rican when she's really Colombian. But that's a whole nother different story. I ain't gonna get into that. That's for the Latinx community to fight over. I'm not gonna get into that. Anyway, but what I can get into is her one of her lyrics from the song saying, quote, I'll always be your black girl from the Bronx. Maybe she could be y'all black girl. Maybe she could be y'all black girl. I'll let her be y'all black girl from the Bronx. She could be y'all. Because in my reality, in this dimension, one of the multiverses that I live in, shouts out to Lovecraft Country. In this part of the multiverse dimensions, she ain't my black girl from the Bronx. But maybe Ty, because Ty lived in the Bronx. So maybe that's his black girl. Exactly, Yana. A lot of people assumed because she was from the Bronx and because she was a Latina, they assumed that she was Puerto Rican. She is not Puerto Rican. She's Colombian. And the Puerto Rican community was really upset about that. I never got into that because that ain't my fight. That is not. I let the Latinx community fight that out. That was not my fight. But what we're not going to do and what we're not going to have, quote, Jenny from the block. What we're not going to do and what we're not going to have is you appropriating a black woman. That's what we're not going to do. That's what we're not going to do. I blame Ebby. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I blame Ebby. I blame Ebby for all parts of this. Because at no point is Jenny from the block, Jennifer Lopez, ever been or ever gonna be black. Oh yes, we can blame her, Raphael. We can, and we. Oh, you talk about Abby. Oh, I thought you was talking about Jennifer. Whenever I think about Jennifer Lopez, I think about that just out of control South Park episode where Cartman took his hand and drew some eyes and put like some hair on it and some lipstick and said that was Jennifer Lopez. And the whole episode he was doing like this, making Jennifer Lopez talk. It was a mess. And with dancing and everything. That's how nonsensical this is. Like, I'm trying to understand this. Hey, Sly Sylvia. I'm confusion. I am confusion. I am confusion. It's not your fault. You know whose fault it is? Abby? It's Really B's fault. Because Really B is over there in Pittsburgh and just gonna run off to Pittsburgh and didn't tell nobody. We locking her out the house and changing the key. And she got to beg us to get a key to the new lock on the front door. I'm just saying. All right, Sly Sylvia. Thank you for heading through. Mr. Judy, she should have never got to do a Motown tribute. Nobody understood that either. A mess. A whole mess. A mess. That's y'all girl. Jenny from the block. So this is what we're allowing in this last and evil day. Oh, I could change the locks. Raphael. Matter of fact, me and Jada gonna start working on that as soon as I get off screen. Me and Jada is changing the locks. But this is another instance. Patty Duke, where you have the people descended from the Caucasus Mountains trying to appropriate people of color for money. But let me not get started, because then they're gonna say that I'm being wrong. They're gonna victimize the people descended from the Caucasus Mountains. Oh, I almost said something. So, hitting the blogs this morning, your resident YouTuber, ATLian, did an interview with Peter, ex-husband of Cynthia, because what Peter was not going to do is he was not going to let Cynthia and her new marriage get too much media time. He was like, that's enough of that. I'm your ex-husband and you getting all this kind of publicity and stuff. Mm-mm. I will not be undone. So what Peter decided to do was he decided to go into his messy bag. Just being messy. Never confuse straight men for not being messy and petty, because they are some of the messiest and pettiest people I've ever met. Girl, so he said, let me steal some of this light and some of this media presence, because he knew, being the ex-husband of Cynthia, that, oh, with her being in the media because of COVID con that she had, what was that, last weekend or weekend before last, in the greater Atlanta area, spreading COVID all over the greater Georgia area. Anyway, she had COVID con her 45th marriage to Mike Hill. Peter said, mm-mm, I ain't here for that. I don't want to hear about it. Matter of fact, let me put out this out there. I recently, as Lil Scrappy would say, put them paws on Todd, husband of Candy. He claimed him and Todd got in a fight at the club. And wait, no. He said that Apollo. Wait, no. Wait, what did he say? Wait a minute. Let me go back to my wait. Right, he said he fought Todd. That's what it was. Child, I forgot. I had to get it together. Um he was on the podcast with or on the live with Apollo, but Peter said him and Todd was going at it at the club. He said he put them paws on him. I was like, mm. Apollo had some other interesting comments about Candy and Todd as well. Let me read to you what this article says. Now, let me apologize first. I'm going to apologize to you first. And I probably should have found another source, but I'm here now, and we here now. So I'm going to read from this blog, okay? It's media takeout. I know we got to parcel out what's true and what's fake. But according to media takeout, two of the husbands on Bravo's Real Housewives of Atlanta nearly got into a fist fight. Media Takeout News has learned Peter Thomas, the former husband of Cynthia Bailey, and Todd Tucker, husband of Candy Burris, nearly came to blows inside an Atlanta nightclub a few months ago. What caused the fight? Last we heard, Peter and Todd were friends. Well, a few months ago, Peter went on blogger Michelle Atl Brown's podcast with Apollo Nita, Phaedra's ex-con ex-husband. During the show, Apollo made some disparaging comments about Todd and Candy, and Peter sat by and seemed to co-sign Apollo's negative remarks. Apollo's beef with Todd springs from his most recent brush with the law. According to reports, Apollo was hiding his belongings from the feds in Todd's garage, and Todd snitched. Bitch. But when Todd ran into Peter a few days after the podcast, he was tight. He was upset about the comments Apollo made and what appeared to be Peter's silent agreement, and the two nearly came to blows. Luckily, security was there to break it all up. Now, first of all, Peter, what type of Kris Kringle Santa Claus fetish clubs are you going to where we just are inviting people who look like whole ass black Santa Claus to the club? You look like you should be sitting your ass down somewhere and not at nobody's club. Damn near getting into fisticuffs. But you know, it's something for everybody and people like that kind of stuff, okay? But Peter, 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 Peter. Those weren't his belongings. Those were retired Delta employee belong. I'm not doing this with you, little baby. Anyway, my point is this. Peter is out of control because you shouldn't be your old ass at nobody's club anyway. I don't even go to clubs like that, and I ain't nowhere near as old as Peter. Okay, sit your ass down somewhere. And if you do frequent the club, trying to go out in the middle of a pandemic, God, why are you getting into fisticuffs? See, this is why you should stay your ass home in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. In the middle of a damn pandemic. Y'all over here in child. First of all, we all collectively been knew Todd wasn't shit. So I don't even know why people are surprised with Todd and his level brand of fuckery. But that's a whole nother topic. Child, girl, child. But first of all, Todd, why are you mad? That ain't Peter's business. If Apollo wants to go off on you about snitching on him, that's your business. Peter just sat his ass down, was like, if Apollo wants to go off on you and Candy, and I just sit there, it ain't my job to be like, oh no, Candy and Todd, they not them type of people. Oh no, they ain't my job. Sit right here, go on, you got it. Child. So you get mad with Peter because he ain't jumped to your defense. Girl, this is the level of bitch assness, and this is the level of softness akin to the beef sector, where a bitch sits there and gets mad with somebody who didn't say anything about them, but because somebody else said something about them and you just happen to be there and you ain't go windmilling for them. Now, instead of being mad at the person who actually said the thing, you wanted to get in the whole fist fights with somebody who was just there. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Todd is a snitcher. He is. Hey, Chantel. A mess. This is the entirety of a damn mess. A mess. Ain't got nothing to do with me. But this is what y'all got going on. This is what y'all got going on. Y'all got Jennifer Lopez claiming to be black. God help us. Y'all got Todd over here getting in the whole ass fights with people because they ain't windmill for him. A mess. A complete and utter mess. In other news, And this is probably going to be our last topic. The first member of the Three Billy Goats Gruff Trey Songs. Because we all know who the second member of the Three Billy Goats Gruff is. That is Jussie Smollett. But the first member of the Three Billy Goats Gruff Trey Songs claims that he doesn't want to do a versus because nobody can do what he does. There's nobody like him. I mean, you got your fellow member of the Three Billy Goats Gruff, Jussie Smollett. He does the same thing you do. I mean, I can go to the local petting zoo and find a goat that does the same thing you do. What are we talking about here? I mean, I can go and find the little lamb or lambs that Mary had, and they do what you do. How about you do a versus battle with them? I just can't. The amount of delusion that these people have. Listen, Listasia, I'm not here for Petty Peter, okay? Petty Peter needs to go over there and find all of those women that are into Santa Claus fetishes, okay? Anyway, so his girl, so in case that wasn't enough for him stating that he's not going to do a versus battle, I don't think any of us was asking for a versus battle with you in it anyway. I mean, that's just like, you know how people do it, where they try the whole they try to do the whole opposite of what they, or say the opposite of what they really want to happen, to try and get you to ask them to do that thing. So I guess that's what he's doing here by saying, oh no, I'm not down for a versus battle, because nobody was asking for you to do a versus. Nobody asked for that. I mean, who was asking for that? Trey Songs? Sure. We never want to hear you live. Anytime we watch an award show and they says up next performing live Trey Songs, we ceremoniously find something else to watch. We remember the Prince tribute. You raggedy ass fuck boy. Don't get me started on Trey Songs, please. We would never forgive you for that, Trey Songs. We will never forgive you. So apparently, his new girlfriend, beard, girlfriend, her name is Sayer or something like that, and she's a part of some group, some duo that does hip hop or whatever, and she was posting pictures of her and Trey Songs being all lovey-dovey, and having public displays of affection, like most of these celebrity people try to do, to make us believe that they really are in love or have even the capacity to love, when we know that they are sick, dark, and demented people in their hearts, and the coldest of persons Anyway, and they try to, prove their capacity to love by showing these public displays of affection for people who they don't give a shit about and don't care about and really aren't in love with. Anyway, baby, the people learned that this girl was a Trump supporter and began, and Black Twitter, who's undefeated. Okay, Black Twitter is undefeated still. Black Twitter ceremoniously pounced on her, and she took down all her pictures with her and the first member of the Three Billy Goat Scruff. She said she was receiving hate mail and death threats and so forth. Child. A mess. Anyway, Black Twitter pounced on her for her Trump support, and she started getting her feelings and so forth. She started taking down pictures and so forth and so on. I didn't really care, but since I was already talking about the first member of the Three Billy Goat Scruff, I thought I would mention that little light story about his girlfriend, girlfriend this month. This is what y'all got going on in these yet to be United States of America. Let me make sure I've covered all my stories I wanted to cover. I think that I have. Hold on. Let me make sure. Kevin Hart's daughter was born. I don't care. No, T.I. Fuck you and fuck him, T.I. I'm sorry, y'all. Oh, that almost pissed me off. I just read an article a headline that said T.I. speaks on Ice Cube working with the Trump administration. Quote, you have to give Cube the benefit of his reputation, end quote. No, I don't have to give him the benefit of a goddamn thing. A mess. A mess. I mean, Ice Cube is on the back pedal and pussy pop train. He done been on Roland Martin. He done been on Chris Cuomo. I think I saw him on MSNBC. He's on this whole circuit of backpedaling and pussy popping, and it's too late. But whatever. Anyway, anything else that you all would like for me to discuss while we're here? Anything at all before I ceremoniously exit stage left? Any topics that you'd like for me to discuss before I get off of here? Anything? Let me see. Maybe it's lagging. Okay. Justice, child, you ain't never lied. Little baby, justice for Chrisette Michelle, because they did my girl so wrong. They did my girl so wrong. But I think maybe the activated juice back in the day seeped into his brain, and now we're just seeing the manifestation of the damage that the activated juice did to his brain. God, a mess. All right. We've been on for over an hour and a half. I did not have to get into the mess because y'all didn't ask me, so that's why I have to get into it. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. Because let me just say this, and this is gonna come out harsh. The day that you see me on this good platform crying or hear me crying real tears because of some fuck shit in the beef sector, that is the day that I want you to unsubscribe from me. Please. The day that you see me come on this good platform and start crying over some mess in the beef sector, like for real crying, not like a whole sketch or a whole, me playing around, or not from me being emotional off of a review. That's different. But the day you see me crying real tears over some fuck shit in the beef sector, please unsubscribe from me. Please don't watch my channel anymore because something has gone terribly wrong. That ain't war. Y'all need to say who is that, because that's not elteddy27. I don't know that guy. I don't know who that is. Child. I don't know where y'all found him at. I don't know who this robot is or this doppelganger is. But the guy who I know, he ain't doing all that. Crying and carrying on. If you don't get your ass somewhere, child. It goes back to it goes back to something a term Jay Wilson says all of the time. Emotional intelligence. There's a lack of that. You can unsubscribe now. Ty, how about you unsubscribe now? Okay. How about that, Ty? Some black people need to get their card taken to the trial. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Oh, ain't nobody on here crying. But I seen across as I've been, watching from the porch in the streets, it's been a lot of crying and carrying on channels and platforms this week. Child. We're just not built like that over here. We are not built like that. You crying and carrying on over stuff that you got yourself into a mess. And even if you didn't get yourself into it and somebody else got you into it, that's even more reason why you need to grow a pair of balls or grow a fucking backbone and slay a bitch. I wish a bitch would. And the people that I hang around and associate with are not criers. I don't go around crying about shit. You bust a bitch in the mouth. Crying? A bitch bust you in the mouth, you sit over there and sit down and start crying. Bitch, that's new school stuff. Because you know, old school, if you got raised in certain households, you come home, talk about you got beat up in a fight if you want to. See if your parents don't tell you, go your ass back out there and fight some more and beat that bitch down. And don't come back in my house until you got it together. Child. But now but look at the type of people who we're dealing with. But child. Hey Brianna. Child. Let me get off here. I gotta get ready. I got stuff to do today. And I gotta go to work. But but yeah, we ain't doing that crying and carrying on. I'm not gonna even say no disrespect to the people who do. All disrespect to the people who do. I mean, you ain't gonna do nothing but cry anyway. So why the hell do I care? What are we talking about? I ain't gonna even go through that long. So no disrespect to people who do. Oh, all disrespect to people who do. I mean, what you gonna do? Cry? Oh, it's I should have wore that hat today, Nappy Chow, because it is cold enough to have that hat on. It is definitely cold enough for that hat. But yeah. Hold on. Just looking at everything. All right. I think I've covered all my bases. Ew. If there's nothing else, I'll get off. Last call. Will you come? Okay, Volvo, will you come? Will you come? Bye, Ty. Get off and go watch your porn. Literally, let all that sit as a double entendre and all. Get off and watch your porn. All right, that's all I got for y'all. Y'all know I love y'all. I love on y'all. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for being vocal, present, and active. I'm glad that I could always be here to give you my insights, my thoughts on different things, and just take you away sometimes from the fuckery and fuctitude of the day and of life. And I hope y'all have a great day. I probably will be back on tomorrow. Maybe we could get Ty to get out of the streets of the Bronx um where Jennifer is allegedly black in his part of the world, and come on with us, because you know he be avoiding us. That's why he wasn't on here today, because he out there running the streets of the Bronx. So yeah. Right. Stay safe, y'all. I love y'all. Maybe I'm off tomorrow. So I might give y'all a sexy Sunday tomorrow. All right, Abby, we might could do that. You know it's gonna be members only. Sexy Sundays are only members only. So all my members, look for perhaps a sexy Sunday tomorrow. Look for perhaps a sexy Sunday tomorrow. Yeah. See what I can conjure up for y'all. Let's do it on Twitter. Ooh. We'll see. But yeah, look for that tomorrow. That's all I got for y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Oh, don't forget to put some Shondos in the chat. Let me put Shondo in my own chat. I've been neglecting to do that, y'all. Y'all know we gotta do Shondos in and Shondos out. Let's get some Shondos in the chat. All right, and with that, I will go ahead and leave y'all. I love y'all. Don't do nothing I would do. That's all I got for y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely.